Now you guys know I love the fire trucks. There's a fair few on the channel and we've seen some really classic antique ones, but I've never seen a fire truck drop to the floor like this one right here. Absolutely love this. Now it belongs to Frank. Frank, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Of course you are, because you've got so many people stopping by to have a look at this and to talk to you about it. Okay, let's start with the basics, mate. What have you got?
Like you said, the biggest debate is what do we bring to the show?
Yeah.
Because we're obviously 14 hours away.
You're in Miami.
Yes. And the name of the shop is Reds Miami. And apart from Reds Miami, I own as well Diesel Wheels, which is the originator of all the big dually wheels, which I started that. The 8 to 10 adapter that everybody's running nowadays, very common. I came up with that concept basically just wanting to do my personal truck in the mid 90s.
Okay.
And the truck actually belongs to a very good friend of mine. His name is Ariel Hernandez, and he is the owner of King's Towing in Miami, which is one of the biggest towing companies in South Florida, in the Miami area. He handles all of Miami Gardens, handles all of downtown Miami, the upcoming like Wynwood, which is the design district. And his passion is, you know, like old trucks. So he has an old tow truck, a 47 International, that it's a complete tow truck, and it actually lays rocket panels too. Nice. And we built a set of our wheels. And he has this fire truck, he has another fire truck, he has a cab over that we were debating, do we bring this one or bring the other one? So we end up actually bringing the fire truck because the cab over is cool, but only 2 people fit in, and it's a little tight.
It's a little
I'm like,
tight.
for a show like this where the biggest thing is cruising at night,
yes,
this is the one to cruise, because I mean, cruising this down in South Beach in Miami and all that is insane.
Of course it would be, so and you can fit so many people on that as well.
3 weeks ago, I took it to the Seafood Festival by my house in Deering.
Right.
Charles Deering was the owner of International Trucks. And he had a mansion a mile from my house where I go bike riding, you know, most of the time, but I need to ride a little more, lose a couple of pounds. But I do love riding there because you actually get to ride to the mansion.
Okay.
And they do the antique car show there, they do the seafood festival. So I took it, and I took it early in the morning, nothing organized. I just took it there and I parked it right in front of it because kids get a kick out of it.
Yes.
So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take the fire truck and park it, and I took my other, I have a body drop, one of the first body drop 4 dualies that anybody ever finished. I went to SEMA in 2007. I put them both there, and then after that I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a cruise to
We're gonna look more in detail at all the features that it is in a minute.
So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take the fire truck for a cruise down back to his yard to put it away in the warehouse.
Yep.
And I took it for a ride through downtown Miami, and Ultra Music Festival was going on.
Oh wow, what a coincidence.
And it was totally insane. It was totally insane because Ultra
they would have loved this.
Ultra is all electronic music, which I've been to with my daughter, and you know, that's something else that I like as well. But the kick of it was, you got people from all over the world, and the minute I pulled in, here I am driving this fire truck through downtown Miami in front of all the cops with no tag, no seat belts. But I mean, they were all like thumbs up, like that's badass. Yep. And you know, I'm dragging the whole truck downtown Miami and nobody says shit, you know. It's like, it's
and why
crazy.
would they? Look how sick it looks. It looks absolutely
So basically
awesome.
what it is, all the logos that you see on the truck are the original ones. The truck came out of Virginia.
Now you told me it's a 47?
41.
41.
Yeah, he has the 47 International as a tow truck.
Okay.
And the cab over is like a 49.
Now
all this, I mean, the beauty of it is like, if you hit this, like feel the grill on this. It's solid.
I love it.
I mean, there's not sheet metal, so everything's original on the truck except the headlights. It was clear coated to protect the patina. But all the gauges, all that is what the firemen used to use to be able to run the water. Obviously, we're not using
well, I'm
any of
going to
that.
put your knowledge to the test, because every time I come across antiques, I want to know what's going on. So can you tell me about the gauges here?
Well, the gauges here were the way they would control the water flow and what they were doing. I mean, obviously, when we got the truck, all that was hooked up.
Okay.
All that was dismantled because we're not using none of it.
Yeah.
Basically, the cab was lifted off the truck's frame original, and it was mounted on a 96 Dodge dually. So it has a late model, you know, like a new generation, like 6BT, 12-valve Dodge motor with a single turbo.
Nice.
It has the Dodge suspension in the front, which is pretty friendly for the airbags. So it has disc brakes in the front, it's power steering, it's automatic. And then the rear end is from a late model 2016 Super Duty F350. And then obviously it's got a 3-link rear setup. The Dodge frame has been modified, you know, it's back half, so it's up high to be able to hold the bed. And like I said, I mean, the truck was a lot longer, because it's a ladder truck, so the ladders will slide underneath it. Now you can't slide them because the rear end is in the way.
It was how many feet?
It was longer? 8 feet longer than what you see now.
8 feet longer.
Yes.
Now this truck already looks pretty long.
Yeah. And if you notice, actually, the other thing I forgot, the fire hydrant here was actually a fire hydrant from an accident. It blows out of here.
Right.
So when you start it up, that's where the exhaust is blowing out of. But these are the original hoses from back then. All the lights, basically pretty much all that stuff. And the way they did it was these channels here, to my understanding, basically was the way that would slide the hoses off.
Oh, okay.
So it had all the hoses in there that would load all the stuff, and that's what this is for. And then a friend of mine that's a firefighter, actually, he's one of the main guys at Miami-Dade County. He told me this was like some sort of like flow divider that actually still there original. So it's a flow divider that actually they will hook up to the hydrant, and it would actually just separate it all.
Wow.
You know, pretty much in the interior, all the gauges, everything's original except the steering column and the seats are not original.
I wonder if there was hydrants back in 41 or whether they had to pump it from the ground.
No, they actually had hydrants, depending on the cities.
Okay.
I mean, and a lot of times they would have like they would come like with a water tank, like a water truck.
Yeah.
So I guess the water truck would divide, the flow divider will divide on what hoses they're putting and what they're gonna run and whatnot, you know, so.
Okay.
The rims are actually our wheels, you know, the diesel wheels. And we actually went with a knobby, like a mud terrain that you see on the lifted trucks.
Yep.
So they're 24s front and rear, and the front we ran a 35, and the rear we put a 37. So kind of like it had that staggered look. And
Frank, all I'm understanding from this is an antique truck that drives like a modern day truck.
Correct.
And yet it can go off-roading.
Oh yeah. Off-roading, I wouldn't say much off-roading, but you could definitely drive it in the sand, which we have, and it would not get stuck.
Usually somebody sees an antique and they're like,
Right.
you know, let's just be easy with it, let's be careful.
Oh no, man, you can drive this like you stole it because it has the most bulletproof motor combination, which is a Cummins 6-cylinder 5.9 liter single turbo.
Nice.
The transmission was totally rebuilt, and then the rear end is from like a late model F350 Dually 2016. So it has disc brakes, it has a good gear ratio. So.
And who did all the customizations and
Basically,
restoration?
we did some of the work. The gentleman that actually did most of the work that you see all the mocking up, we helped him with like the suspension aspects of it. We built the wheel setup, and like the transmission work was done at the shop because there wasn't a lift big enough to hold it where they were doing it. But the gentleman's name is Juan, and everybody calls him Veneno, which is Veneno in Spanish means poison. So
why would they call him poison?
This guy is actually really impressive. Juan is actually 63 years old, and he's still building all this stuff, and he just loves it. And they call him poison because when he was in Cuba, everything he touched was like poison.
Nice.
You know, always
It's a compliment.
Yeah, chopping up stuff, doing all the crazy stuff.
Wow, that wind is picking up, but hey, I do want to check out the interior.
Absolutely.
The rain's away. All right, I'm gonna go inside this truck and show a little bit of the interior, and then we're gonna try and do a bit of a cruise just to see all the other lowriders and mini trucks out on the street. That's the most fun part. So
if you could tell, the problem is we're having problems with the door opening because we're on grass and the truck is on the floor. So
okay.
The running boards are like getting all like glued to the ground.
Oh, they are too. Well, Frank, why don't you hold this?
Absolutely.
All right, and I love the fact that the interiors and everything is so comfy. Like if we have a look at the back here, it's so comfy, it's luxurious, and there is so much room so you can fit so many people on this. All right, I'm gonna put this down. I love antique cars, you all know that. I absolutely love antique cars. And the fire trucks, because I love trucks, and then when we see a classic or an antique fire truck, it just draws my attention. Saw these twice yesterday and I was like, where's the owner? I'm glad I found you, Frank. But let's have
Perfect, thank you.
Now the seats have been lowered.
Actually, the seats are completely custom built. They're not original.
They're not original at all.
Right.
And I think they're lower than what it would have been back in the day.
Exactly.
With the fire trucks, you got to be sitting up high to see.
Right, to be able to see.
Okay, so what have we got here? Come in here, Frank, and let's have a look at the gauges.
Well, it has the original gauges, which are all there, and then we actually modified it up a little bit. So actually, this is the master, the same way they did it from a long time ago. It still has all the tags when they build it. You know, it shows like some of the stuff, like you can see like where originally it had the gear shifter was there, and it was a four-speed transmission, and it had you would actually activate like a PTO, putting it in gear. This was part of like the levers that it had, so we retrofitted this to actually be the gears on it. So right there's in park, right here is reverse, that's neutral, and that's drive.
Wow, and so, what is this then?
And that's the emergency brake.
That's the emergency brake.
Right, that's the emergency brake, which it was coupled to like the 2016 Ford dually axle that is on it.
Yeah.
So it actually, the emergency brake works. And then, you know, this was some of the levers that I had. Like I said, a lot of the stuff doesn't work because all the stuff for the fire, you know, is pretty much gone. But the master switch is basically here, and this turns on the compressors. And then this controls the front airbags, and this controls the rear.
Wow, we're gonna see all of that in action once this gets turned on.
And then if you turn it on,
you want me to press this? Doesn't get better than this, honestly, absolutely love
actually,
it.
if you take the camera out to the side,
yeah,
you'll see like the fire hydrant is the exhaust.
The fire hydrant is the exhaust. Right, why don't we do that?
Obviously, it wasn't meant to be like that.
Oh my Lord, look at that, everybody. So when we're ready to do the cruise, we're going to see this get lifted up. And Frank, what else happens that's going to be drawing attention to this?
The siren.
Show us the siren.
Good. The 1941 siren, there you go.
But hey, it's going to complete the look, right? Love this, absolutely love this. Frank, you and your friend have done well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for this, appreciate it.